Alright guys, I'm back with the 87 Prelude. I got the new fuel rail installed. Unfortunately, right after I installed the new fuel rail and the new fuel pressure regulator, it blew out one of the injectors. So of course, sticking wide open, flooded the shit out of everything. So hopefully it didn't ruin my wideband sensor, but we'll find out. It's still reading. So I got new injectors. They're OBD2 injectors. So I went ahead and adjusted the clips so that way they line up, and deleted that resistor box for now. Yeah, so far everything seems to be okay aside from the map sensor not working. I got my new 70mm throttle body mounted on there. I got my TPS wired up. That seems to be working just fine. The map sensor for some reason just keeps giving me trouble, so I guess that's what you get when you buy cheap ones off Amazon or eBay. So I think this thing was like $8 total, and it's just shorted internally, so we're getting 5 volts across all of them when we're not supposed to. So I have to go back through, probably gonna have to dig back through some of my wiring again just to double check, but so far it looks like it's just the sensor that's bad. So I guess I'll have to wait until I get another new sensor before I can drive her around. But so far she fires up and runs. The wiring fix for the cylinder position and TDC sensors and crank sensors all working good now, and distributors all lined up, so all that's working good. Everything's wanting to run the way it should, aside from the fact that the engine can't tell what the load's at other than the TPS. So yeah, without that map sensor, she's not wanting to run too great, but at least now I know it's not missing. I'm getting a good RPM signal back to the computer and everything else. So yeah, she's still popping a code 3, and for some reason I even tried hooking up my old map sensor just to see if that would work, but the old map sensor is not going to work with the new computer. I guess the OBD0 and OBD1 computers don't correlate as far as the map sensor goes, which makes sense. It's a lot lower reading than these newer ones too. So but yeah, so far everything's all good. I just got to mount up my fuel pressure regulator. My brother welded on a bracket for me, so that way we can bolt it down now and hold that right there and get this filter lined up, and then I just got to tuck all my wires back in and everything, and then yeah, hopefully we'll be back with another video and we can actually go drive this fucker around and start tuning. So far so good. I am having a little bit of an issue with the AEM wideband. The gauge is showing the air-fuel ratio right about what I believe it should be. Right now she's running pretty rich, obviously with the map sensor problem, but the gauge is showing a good reading, but as far as the chrome, it is not showing the same reading as my gauge. So I imagine there's some more stuff I'll have to go in through and do, but I got it set up in Chrome for the UEGO AEM, so I imagine it should be working. But either way, we'll get it figured out. It just looks like the numbers jumping around quite a bit, so I don't know, it could be wiring. I'll have to double check everything and see what's up, but it's pretty simple setup, so I imagine we'll be able to get it figured out one way or another. But yeah, if you guys have any input, Shane, I know you always got good ass ideas, dude, so if you guys know anything about wiring up the widebands of this and having any issues with the OBD1 computers that are chipped, let me know. From what I could see online, it looks like a few of the computers don't like it, but it's kind of all dependent on what Chrome wants to read and what that computer wants to process. So I imagine if I got to do a little bit more soldering on the board, that's not a big deal. We'll get that taken care of. But yeah, so far she's looking pretty good. I went ahead and ran some new wires with these connectors. I ended up finding some spares, so I figured I didn't even worry about depinning the old ones because I got the new ones to line up. So I just got to finish soldering all my wires for the fan switch and the water temp sensor and everything. But so far they are reading correctly and everything's looking good, so hopefully we'll be good to go. This coolant looks like garbage though, so I imagine the next step is going to be getting this piece of shit radiator out of here because it's full of rust. So I've already flushed the cooling system a couple times and it's just looking like garbage still, so we'll have to get that out of there and see what happens. But thankfully I'm happy. After that injector blew wide open and just filled my cylinder with gas, I'm glad I didn't bend a rod or some crazy shit. It's spitting raw gas right out the exhaust manifold, so that was definitely not good, and I know those sensors don't like that. But she's a lot happier now, actually wants to fire up and run. I got the IAC worked out. Chrome is able to control the IAC perfectly now, which is good. I thought maybe the wires might have been backwards, but I just had a little bit higher percentage on there, and everything's good. I think we're running about 20% compensation for that IAC, and she actually wants to idle now. But unfortunately, as soon as you get on it, there's no load reading, so kind of makes it impossible for me to do any tuning since I can't really change any of the tables based on the engine load. But yeah, thanks again for watching, guys. You got any info or any input, let me know. I'm open to anything. I always love new ideas. Like I said, this is This is my first big Honda project as far as this goes, and I'm definitely happy with everything so far. Intake mounted up great after all the modifications. This fuel rail, even though it's a cheapie, seems to be doing pretty good. It's not leaking with all the fittings we got on here. This 6AN kit we got with all the universal fuel line, all stainless steel. All these fittings are awesome. I will say they're great. None of them are leaking. They all fit into everything. Everything lines up same thread, so it's just great. Makes it super easy. That way I don't have to get too crazy with it. So next step, I will be replacing this little plug down here on the side of the exhaust manifold where the EGR tube goes. I forgot about that and fired it up the other day, and it was pissed, and it was loud too, and I'm like, man, where do I got an exhaust leak? Sure enough, I don't have a cap in there. So right now I actually found a cap from an oil filter canister, and the threads fit up perfect, but it's plastic, so I can't leave it in there. I just got it in there right now, that way I didn't lose it. But I'm gonna yank that out. I'm gonna go to the Home Depot or Lowe's, one of the places, and see if I can't find a nice metal cap with the same thread size and fit that in there, and then I'll definitely post another video and let you guys know. So for anybody going forward in the future, if you want to get rid of your EGR and keep that, you know, factory cast manifold, I'll put in the description the specs and the thread pitch and everything for that cap, so you guys can go get one too, and I'll let you know where I got it, and that way you guys don't have to worry about trying to weld a cap or a block on the end of that tube, and just kind of cleans everything up a little bit too. But yeah, without that cap, you're gonna be leaking a little bit. So yeah, I'll let you guys know, that way make it easier for you guys in the future. I will say though, this throttle body was like 60 bucks, and I'm definitely impressed. This thing is nice and shiny, looks great. Everything fitted up perfect. The new bolts, thread pitch was exactly what it needed to be. Thankfully, you never know when you're ordering this aftermarket stuff. But yeah, so far so good. We're gonna have to figure out this bracket on the side for the throttle cable, because I had to modify it a little bit, but so far it's holding. But I'm gonna have to get another nut on there to actually tighten it down. That way it doesn't pop off on me while I'm driving. But I will say though, this fuel pressure regulator seems to be working just fine. I was able to adjust the fuel pressure down to like 42 psi or so, 43, I think that's what this thing wants. And it does seem to be increasing the fuel pressure if I, give it a little bit of gas and get up on it. Of course, right now it's a little hard to drive, like I said, without that map sensor working, so I can't do too much, but it is working. I did notice though, with the return hooked up on the bottom of this guy, it does not hold pressure. So if you prime the fuel pump, that gauge doesn't even read at all, but I'm still getting fuel pressure, so it's testing out at 43 or so going to the rail, but that gauge won't show you anything until the car is actually running. So I don't know if that's a defect in the pressure regulator or just how it works. Seems kind of silly to me. I could have swore when I first installed it the other day and primed the fuel system, I saw something on the gauge, but thankfully we don't have the injectors leaking, so I mean, the only thing I can think is just it's going right back out of the return or something. But once again, cheap stuff off Amazon, so nothing wrong with it. Everything looked pretty good. It came with lots of fittings and O-rings and everything, and it's not leaking. So so far so good. It seems to be working all right, but the real test will be getting it out on the highway, getting some good load on it, a little higher RPM, and bring that fuel pressure up and just see how it handles. So, but so far it doesn't seem too bad for the 50 bucks I paid for it, but just keep in mind, I don't know how accurate this gauge really is. It seems to be pretty close with my fuel pressure tester. All the PSI readings are matching up, but just for some reason, when you prime that fuel pump the first time, you can hear the pump kick on, but the gauge isn't showing anything, but we still got pressure. So I don't know if it's a little weird defect or whatever, but other than that, seems to be working. So I'll roll with it and we'll see what happens. I can always get a better one in the future. So, but yeah, that's all we got for today. Let me know, guys, if you see anything that you think is cool or you want me to check out, or if you want a little bit more info on any of this stuff, if I can be of any help at all, I'm definitely willing. Just shoot me a comment on one of the videos. Definitely subscribe and like. Trying to get as much attention as we can. The more viewers, the better, and we can, maybe one day get a little group of these Hondas together out here in Colorado Springs, and we can all cruise together, and we can be the group that isn't douchebags and doesn't give Hondas a bad name. We'll actually be the guys that are respectful, go around, do nice cruises, not be, watting it through neighborhoods at 4 in the morning. We're not going to be out there racing down Cimarron and Airport Road and shit like that. So I just want to get a group of people together, and we can all kind of just, check out our builds, swap info, opinions, whatever else, and just, kind of enjoy the moment and enjoy our Hondas. So that's what we're looking for. All right, guys, let me know what you think. I'll see you later.